everything what we thought about the Trump-Putin's meeting which happened on Friday, which was August 15, was wrong. All what we thought was the main agenda of the meeting was Ukraine. But what if I tell you that that agenda was discussed but there was no conclusion reached? Actually, Putin has won this diplomatic meet and he has walked away winning a silent victory, not by conceding land or agreeing to any demands. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Everything with Dr. James. Today let's break down what happened in the meeting between Donald Trump and Putin. The moment Vladimir Putin landed in Alaska, he started winning. He didn't look like someone on which international arrest warrant was there or any sanctions were placed. He was welcomed like an head of the state with full respect. This was a symbolic victory for Putin at the outset. The moment they got in the summit area, they went behind closed doors and a 3-hour meeting happened. And most probably, the first question would have been of ceasefire, and Putin, being a master of tactics, would have avoided that question. He would have started speaking broadly about Ukraine. What he would have said was, let's talk about neutral borders, what their army is doing, what both sides want. This would have forced Trump to change the topic. This was not America conceding. This was Putin playing his game in such a way that this topic is out of the conversation or it was there for a limited period of time. The ultimate symbolism was, as America and Russia were talking in that room, new missile strikes were launched from Russia into Ukraine and the war was continued to happen. This was no random coincidence. This was a planned thing to show the world that even though summit can happen, you can threaten me with sanctions and you can force me to do a ceasefire, I will continue doing the war. Ever since the news of Trump and Putin's meeting came in, the first question everybody asked was there going to be a ceasefire before the meeting? This is because every meeting before this, when diplomats of both the countries met, their most important precondition was ceasefire. But for this summit, there was no ceasefire. This was a symbolic meeting for Putin, but yet there was no ceasefire. This only became a symbolic victory for Putin. Now the meeting happened. When Putin landed, he was greeted like a head of a nation. They went in and they started talking. But when the question of ceasefire came, they dodged the question. The question of ceasefire is now out of question and the war was going on as they were speaking. So what happens is, hereafter, whenever any diplomat wants to meet the diplomat in America, the Russian counterpart does not need to ask for ceasefire from his country. So this only is a symbolic victory. So anytime, anywhere, Russia can launch the attack. Suppose there is going to be a peace summit next week, they will intensify the attack now to show that the war is escalating there and the other side has to bow down just to show a show of strength. This is the first victory for Putin. The second victory is the propaganda victory which Putin has got. Because till now, in the Western media, Putin has been portrayed as a bad person. There is an international warrant against him for arrest. There are so many sanctions against his country. But come August 15, what was there was a scene for a perfect head of state. So much respect he got and the security was huge. The same images will be put back in Russia when he goes in Russian television. So for the people of Russia, this is not a scene of an isolated country facing sanctions. This is a sign of a country which is a global superpower. This only is a symbolic victory for Putin and he's walking away from this meeting unscratched. No ceasefire, no lands given, because of which what is happening is the people in Russia will now think that Putin has won this meeting and there are no sanctions against them and they can continue with their normal life. Because when Putin and Trump came out of the meeting, as we had spoken in our last video, we had spoken about something called frozen diplomacy. That is what happened. Good points were noted. We are going for a day forward and as we go, we will decide what we are going to do. The war was going on and everybody has left the place and as we talk, the war is going on. This only is a symbolic victory for Putin because he was able to come during the time of war, speak to a leader of a superpower and walk away with no concessions and yet made the leader of the other superpower to tell that the meeting went good. And the last victory for Putin in this is going to be that Monday Zelensky is coming. But Zelensky now knows that there was no fruitful meeting between Trump and Putin. Now when Zelensky comes to Washington tomorrow to meet Trump, he knows that that meeting did not bear any fruit. There is no ceasefire. They have not conceded any land. So now when Zelensky meets Trump, the rules would have changed and what Trump is going to ask of Zelensky would have been different on August 14. That is a day before the summit. and now as we speak on August 17th. Now let's see what implications does this meeting of Putin with Trump has on the world. First, the most important country which is going to be affected in this battle is going to be Ukraine, because the war has been going on for 4 years now. Both sides people are dying, but the effect is more in Ukraine because the war is happening there. They are not able to progress. All industries have stopped functioning. Their primary goal is to fight this war. So till now they had two alliances. One was the alliance with their soldiers who are giving their heart out and fighting. The second alliance was with the West. But this seems like a unilateral shift from Trump, because before this he was at the side of Ukraine telling that I will support you no matter what. But here, without a ceasefire, he has met with the president of the opponent country and he has walked away from that meeting, not condemning him, saying that the meeting went well. This only is a single loss for Ukraine, but it looks like the ally has not shifted bases, but they have turned to a more neutral ground than supporting them. For the countries in Europe, this is also alarming because the entire war in Ukraine was based on this transatlantic alliance with USA. That is, they were thinking that USA is supporting them. Countries like Belgium, France were all providing ammunitions to Ukraine because USA were also giving them, and they were showing a united front. Now with Trump becoming neutral in this meeting, what happens is now they are left isolated supporting Ukraine. With Trump being neutral, Trump has now returned back to the America First policy, where he is ready to sacrifice long-term partnership with these European countries for short-term gains. Now let's see what implications it has for America. See, till now America never negotiates like this. They don't negotiate with the leader of the opponent. But now they've started negotiating with the leader of the opponent. This is a watershed moment for them because this has become a change in policy. Usually they will meet just to strong arm them and to make them stop the war. But without even stopping the war, without a ceasefire, without giving land, he has told that the meeting went well. Now, this only is a victory for Putin and also for America. This shows a shift in policy that these things can be negotiated now. There are no non-negotiable terms to us when you come to talk to us. The meeting in Alaska is one of the diplomatic failures which we have seen in the recent years. Why I am saying it's a diplomatic failure is when Putin walked in into this meeting, he walked in as a president on whom there was an international arrest warrant. There were 100 sanctions against his country and he was looking like he was cornered. But as the meeting happened, the way he was welcomed, the way the meeting went, and how Trump spoke about Putin and how they discussed it and how it was projected after the meeting shows that Putin did not give any land. There was no ceasefire. There was nothing out of this interview such that now Putin walks back to Russia with a diplomatic victory that I can continue the war, still speak to the President of United States of America, still broker a peace deal, or at least talk to them and try to broker a peace deal and come back and continue my war. Now all this is going to have an implication when Zelensky meets Trump tomorrow. Do like, share and subscribe me for more interesting.